I'm going to put together today a YouTube on the kit that I was going to use and also some of the things I was going to wear and utilize during my half marathon. What's going on, YouTube? This is Jay. In honor of race week and the weekend that the Lakefront Half Marathon / 5K is going on, I unfortunately will not be racing this weekend because of a nagging knee, an injury that I suffered a couple weekends ago on my last long run of this training block. It was a 10 miler, felt really good, but then the next day, boy, did my knee ache. And when I say ache, it got to the point where I couldn't even put pressure down on my foot because shooting pains would just like drive up my knee and my thigh up to my hip. So I took a little setback and thinking that I was going to be ready, 2 weeks to recover to run this weekend, but unfortunately the knee is still a little achy. So I don't think it's going to happen this year. So with that being said, because I had, my whole race kind of documented on social media, at least my race training, I'm going to put together today a YouTube on the kit that I was going to use and also some of the things I was going to wear and utilize during my half marathon. I guess kind of just starting off nutrition-wise, when I ran the half marathon last year, I was not prepared to sustain the demands of a 13.1, and I didn't plan my nutrition adequately. I thought that I was doing something great by hydrating during my training runs, also carb loading throughout the week before the race, but came race day, I think I went out a little too hot last year, and around mile 8, I started to blow up. My calves started seizing. I couldn't keep up with my electrolytes. I knew I was sweating quite a bit, but I didn't replenish as well as I would have liked to, and I learned this year to kind of pace out my mileage and also my nutrition throughout the run. In the morning before the race, I was planning on using BPN G1M Sport. Nick Bear is the founder and CEO, I believe, of BPN, and he swears by this. So this is basically a endurance formula, has a lot of carbs in it. I believe there is about 40 grams of carbs, 20 grams per serving, but I take 2. And what I would do is I would mix this with water, and I would put it inside of this Nathan water bottle. This actually I bought this, and I was actually using it in a handheld holder, but then I realized when you're running, you're actually carrying weight and your biceps actually are worked. I decided to take the wrist strap off of here, and then I would put this inside of my Solomon Agile 500 waistband, and this waistband fits this water bottle quite well. There is a big pocket along the back side, and I would put in here my water bottle, and then on the front part of this waistband there's a pocket, and I think I put my phone in here, but if I was racing, I was probably going to put my gels in here, which the gels that I was using was going to be BPN Go Gels, endurance gels, about 24 grams of carbs in a packet, and I was going to pack 3 of these, space them out every 3 miles throughout the race. Yeah, so along with the GM Sport, I usually take EAAs or essential amino acids. I went with NutraBio. There's a brand that I used to use of supplements when I was doing OCRs or obstacle course racing called Endurelite. and NutraBio had bought Endurely, and they have some of the cleanest, most, lab tested formulations that are just tuned to what people need. This EAA I actually drink every single morning. If you don't know the benefits of amino acids and electrolytes first thing in the morning, check out articles and just Google it, basically the benefits of just waking up and hydrating yourself, because you have been in a fasting state overnight, and replenishing your bodies with good amino acids and electrolytes in the morning can help jumpstart your system. So I would mix this with the G1M Sport, and then also I would add in a pre-workout, and the pre-workout of choice is Podium. I've been using Podium's pre-workout for a few years now. I was kind of bouncing around between different pre-workouts. They're basically all the same. I followed Podium because of a CrossFit athlete called Matt Frazier who uses Podium. This is actually his brand. Again, the formulations are exactly what I would need. I like the little bit of tingliness, kind of gets you going. The beta-alanine in here is quite high, and so yes, you will feel some of that tingliness in your fingertips and in your face after you drink it. But kind of good stack, these three plus a creatine. I'll put the creatine in there as well. This would be what I would drink before my race, and then I would actually just fill up my water bottle with G1M Sport to take with me and use throughout my race. I've done a lot of research and read articles and testimonials from other runners and how they hydrate, replenish their electrolytes during races, and little sips here and there of some sort of carbohydrate drink like Gatorade, Powerade. I like this G1M Sport because it is an endurance formula. And then also replenishing with goo or endurance gels along the way. That is what I would do as far as pre-race hydration and formulations. I would have eaten like a piece of toast with peanut butter and banana and honey as a breakfast. Nutrition was a pretty big thing that I learned that we need to kind of keep up with, especially on these longer races. Now, obviously 5Ks, 10Ks, may not need to, go overboard with the gels and the hydration, but obviously making sure that your nutrition is up on the weeks prior to your race to make sure that you're properly hydrated, properly fueled, so you don't get those cramps and you don't get those bonks at the longer miles. As far as clothes are concerned, this was gonna be my fit, and now I'm going to have to wait till another race to use it. But I got Nike Pro compression shorts, just regular compression shorts that I would wear. And then I have Nike Trail running shorts. These are 5 inches. I like to keep them a little short because of just like keeping cool. And also just the style of this particular short. We got pockets on the side here for gels on both sides. So you could easily slip a endurance gel in here. Along the back side, there is a pocket for like your keys. I would have driven myself to the race and then taken a shuttle to the starting line. And so finding a way to had my keys, these shorts were ideal. And also along the front side of this shorts too, there's a couple like open pockets. Again, places to put gel, gummy bears, whatever you would need to fuel. It is a lined short, and I would probably never run with just this. So I was actually considering cutting that out. I've done it on a few other shorts and just wear like compression shorts underneath of them. That would have been my bottoms. I wear Stant socks. I like the running socks because they're a little cushioned, but they also give you some really good support. And some of the styles are actually kind of cool too. And as far as my top, I was going to go with a sleeveless Nike running dry fit top. The one thing that I learned last year as far as wearing these kinds of materials is that when you sweat, this stuff rubs up against your body. And last year I had some really bad nipple chafing. My nipples were raw after that 13 miles, and it was hard to put shirts on without like your shirts rubbing up against your nips, and it was almost like too much stimulation at times, and it was just bad. and I think one of my nipples were actually bleeding when I was healing. But yeah, just your regular running sleeveless shirt. A lot of this stuff I got off of Nike.com, and because I shop so much on Nike, I had coupons and stuff and discounts that they would send me. So yeah, Nike is my brand of choice. I probably wouldn't wear anything else. I wore No Bull last year, but this year I wanted to be a Nike fitted runner. Hat went with Stance as a Stance mesh running hat. Got some nice mesh ventilations on the side, little ripstop material up top, protect my bald head. I believe last year, did I run in a hat last year? Did I run in a headband? I don't remember now what I did. Especially when you're bald, you want to protect the top of your head and also something to gather sweat. So yeah, I would have worn this Stance hat on top of that. And then you can't forget the shades. So I went through a couple shades. I found these Gooder. Gooder is a brand that I use for my regular sunglasses, but they have these freaking shades. Look at how solid these are. Man, I think I'm gonna wear these the rest of the freaking podcast. Gooder, they're I think this is their racing line. They're polarized. You can adjust the nose, the bridge of the nose to your face. Knowing me as an Asian, I don't really have a bridge, but these sunglasses are actually pretty cool because they actually wrap around the side of your head really well. And then, like I said, the nose you can adjust to your face. So these would have been the glasses that I would have worn on race morning. I did use these during training and I freaking love them. They just cover your face. They're nicely ventilated on both sides so you don't get any kind of fogginess. Kind of sad that I won't be showing this off in race photos or anything like that. There's always going to be the next race. And so there will be a time when I'll be able to show these babies off during race weekend. That's my fit. That's my kit for racing. And then you probably want to know what shoes I was going to wear, right? Because that's what everyone's here to find out. I'm going to go over the shoes that I have been wearing, that I have worn for training, that I have worn for my last half marathon, and kind of just talk about the benefits that I see in them and how they feel on my feet. Now, I'm not going to throw up any kind of technical, dimensions and specifications of each shoe. Just what I know. I've done research and I've looked up all these shoes and shoes that I should have. Like I said, I'm not going to put all the details. I'm just going to share why and how I chose these shoes and how they felt on my feet. To start off, last year I ran my half marathon and started training actually in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3s. These shoes are amazing. Saucony, as you probably know, is a running brand. Slowly kind of gotten into like the lifestyle kind of sneaker brand. So they have like shoes that you can just like rock like Nikes. The reason why I got this shoe was because it was a Super Trainer, which is Super Trainer has a nice good foam stack height, but also within this this shoe is a nylon plate. So if you're not very much into running, and like I said, I'm not a running pro, I'm still learning, I'm still a novice at the sport. A super shoe is the shoes that some of these like world-class runners and athletes use, and they have a good amount of like PEBA foam and also a carbon plate. Now the combination of the carbon plate and the foam is actually what helps runners get that little spring on their runs. Now this shoe, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, doesn't have a carbon plate, but it has a nylon plate. So it's a little dumbed down, but there's a lot of like springiness to the shoe too. You can kind of see it just like bounces back. I've beaten these shoes. I don't know how many miles I would say I've gotten in this shoe. I have to be at least 200 miles now on this shoe, and the tread is still going pretty well. I'm starting to break through some of the tread on the lateral side of my heel, and then the toe off is actually pretty good. Pretty even toe off. I like this shoe. It responds really well when you're running. It almost kind of helps propel you forward, and with the rocker being kind of towards the forefoot I'm a midfoot runner, And so I land on my midfoot and I spring off on my toes. This shoe kind of helps propel you. It's very light. The tie down is actually pretty nice because these shoelaces are actually pretty stretchy. So I ran my half marathon in these last year. I think the reason why my calves died on me was because last year I was trying to test out my running mechanics, and I think last year I was a 4-foot runner. When you're a 4-foot runner, you use a lot of your calves, and I think just my calves were just overused. I wasn't hydrating well. This year I kind of was testing out the midfoot strike, and I think I'm a midfoot runner. It was a little bit more comfortable for me. And so I actually didn't reach for these this year in my training because I had bought these shoes, which is the Asics Super Blast 2. So this shoe has a FF Blast Plus PIBA based midsole, and this shoe is awesome. This shoe is so soft. The upper is made out of like engineered mesh and knit, I believe. The tie down is really nice. It doesn't have that stretchy shoelace like the Saucony does, but this shoe was a really nice shoe. It's very light. It doesn't have a plate in it, like a nylon plate. The stack height of this shoe is really high, and so you get a lot of that kind of springiness in it as well when you're hitting the ground. I think I may have at least, I'd probably say at least maybe close to 75 miles in this shoe already. Maybe not, no, definitely more than that actually. This was going to be a shoe that I was going to race because all the reviews of this shoe, all these like runners love this shoe. It's a super trainer, but it can also be a race day shoe because of all the technology in it. The balanced rocker, the nice cushion, the tie down. It's just a fast shoe. And when I was running my 10 miler, I don't know why my knees hurt afterwards, but it could be due to the fact that this shoe may be just a little too soft. I don't know for a fact if that's the reason why my knee, got really tender. I really liked training in this shoe. It's very light. This shoe is like sold out. It's so crazy to me how some running shoes are selling out and it's so hard to get. Now this is the second colorway of this shoe. They had a Paris colorway, which is like gray with this like gradient of yellow and I believe green down here. I really like this shoe. This would have been my racing shoe until I picked up the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. So this is the follow-up shoe to this shoe. Same thing. This one has a nylon plate. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a black stripe right here. And that's the piece of that nylon plate that's in here. I ran in this shoe. I tested my knee out earlier this week using this shoe. And let me tell you, this shoe is amazing. I think if my knee would have held up, I think I would have raced in this shoe or the next one that I'm going to show you. The same kind of stretchy shoelaces that kind of locks down. The upper is different. This upper is a little bit more breathable than this last year's model. Very good shoe. I would recommend anybody who is trying to get into running, this Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 is a shoe you should look into. It's somewhat for narrow-footed people. I'd say medium to narrow, definitely not wide. It's a little slim in the midfoot. Very, very good shoe. This would have been my race day shoe if I didn't find this shoe. Then I went up elite-wise, and this shoe right here is the Tier Valkyrie Elite Carbon. So this Tier is mainly a swimming brand. They make a lot of like swimsuits for elite athletes. They just started getting into CrossFit. So there's CrossFit shoes, trainers, and now they're getting into the running market. And this is their elite race day shoe that competes with like the Nike Alpha Fly, the Saucony Endorphin Pro, the Asics Metaspeed Sky. This is a fully carbon plated shoe. So there's a carbon plate in here. Pretty decent midsole. And this midsole is a P-back midsole. I forget what it's called, polyethylamide something. Really light shoe. Like this shoe, I think actually has to probably be the lightest shoe. Maybe about the same as the Asics. But this shoe, really nice, clean colorway. Has a sawtooth shoelaces that you'd find on a Nike Alpha Fly, their racing shoe. A gusseted tongue, which means that the tongue is actually sewed into the sides of the shoe so that it doesn't slide off. You remember back in the day when your tongue would just kind of slide off your foot? Gusseted tongues I learned, is basically when the tongue is actually kind of sewed into the sides so it doesn't fall off. Now, I haven't run in these shoes. I was actually thinking of just putting them on and walking around the house and just kind of seeing how they feel. When I messed up my knee, I had bought these before I messed up my knee. And then I was like, well, what do I do with these now? Do I return them or do I keep them for next time? Are they going to come on with a new iteration in the meantime? Like, this is a race day shoe. Like, you're not supposed to train in super shoes. So I don't know. I might give them a whirl. There's another half marathon coming up at the end of the month. And I don't know if my knee's going to be better for that, but I might save these for those and utilize them. They are only race day shoes, so I would probably use them only once and then put them on a shelf and let them sit, train with the other ones. If I would have said I was racing this weekend, it would have come down to either the Tier Valkyrie Elite Carbon or the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. I think because I spent the money, I would have used the Tier Elite Carbon. Not a lot of people know about this shoe. It'd be interesting to kind of put this on and see what people say. I met a lot of cool people last year on my half marathon. It'd be kind of cool to, toe the line and maybe see some familiar faces. But yeah, that's not happening this year. That's my shoe choice for the race. The Tier Valkyrie Elite Carbon. Best racing training shoe. Probably gonna go with the Saucony Endorphin Elite 4 or 3. You can find these for cheap now because the 4th generation is out. The 3, just as good. During running, you can race with headphones, and I actually tried these out. They're the shocks over the ear, kind of like right on your temple. You can actually use it and still hear traffic. And a lot of runners, they recommend these headphones because of the fact you can hear traffic. I would have used these too on my race. Not gonna happen. And that's okay. I think the one thing that I'm trying to learn from this whole thing, and I have been pretty down and out about not being able to race this weekend, injuries do happen. I listen to some of these running podcasts and follow some elite runners. Some of them are injured. Some of them get injured. Hamstrings, knees, ankles, plantar fasciitis, like a lot of things that can be affected, especially with running, because it is a pretty brutal sport in my opinion. I mean, to be mentally engaged to run for a set distance, pounding the pavement can be good for your joints, but physiology and the anatomy of your body and the adaptations it can go through can help strengthen some of these muscle groups and some of your bones and weight under pressure. All those things can actually increase bone density from what I've read, your muscles, endurance, and then also your cardiovascular health too. So there's benefits to running. I like it. I want to do more of it. Molly's doing more of it. I actually got her a couple shoes to use. When Molly started getting into running, we went to performance running in Brookfield, and I believe they outfitted her with some Ultra Torrens. I forget. This is a Torrent 7. I think she might have like a Torrent 5 maybe. The thing with Ultras is that they are a brand that has a 0 drop shoe. So the drop is basically the height from the heel to the toe and the difference between the two. A 0 drop shoe is basically when the height of the heel and the toe are the same height across. So it's basically flat. You go into shoes like the A6 Super Blast 2, I believe this is like an 8mm drop. So obviously the back heel is higher than the toe. And there's a slope. There's an 8mm drop, which is a pretty aggressive drop for some shoes. I believe the Saucony Endorphin 4, don't quote me on this, but I think this is like a 6mm drop, if not 5, I believe. Ultra is a zero drop shoe. And also the thing with Ultras is they have a very wide toe box. In my experience and studies and research on shoes, Ultra is one of the only brands, along with Topo Athletics, who has a wide toe box. And what this allows your toes to do is just be in their natural, relaxed state and not be compressed. That's natural. That's how our feet are. If you just look at the way your feet, and when you walk, naturally your toes get to splay out, away from each other. Ultra believes that that's the best way your feet should be. And so that's why they've designed these wide toe box shoes. I like them. It takes a little getting used to, though, wearing zero drop shoes, because your ankles and your heels, your knees, your hips, and your alignment have gotten so used to having a dropped shoe that when you switch to a zero drop shoe, you really have to take your time with it. And when you buy an Ultra shoe, they actually tell you, like, wear it around your house for 20 minutes at a time. Get used to wearing a zero drop shoe, because it will kind of mess with your Achilles a little bit, and just like your hips, your knees, your ankles. But really great shoe, and Molly has grown akin to Ultra, the Torin series. This is a Torin 7. She said that it kind of hurts her feet a little bit. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's just a different geometry with the shoe from the past Torins, but she liked her other Torins, and she beat those up. This is the new Torin 7, and she said it's okay. She's still getting used to it. Really good shoe. I would wear a Torin Escalante just to kind of, change it up a little bit. That was and is a shoe that she runs with sometimes. I also got her the Asics Nova Blast 4. So the Nova Blast is the training shoe to the Super Blast. So the Nova Blast is just a little bit, the stack height is not as much. It's basically like a long run shoe, a very good shoe nonetheless. No plate in this shoe either, but with the high stack height of the foam, it does propel you quite a bit. She's been running in this one. I think she's giving it a try. I think the one thing she said is, I think she said her feet hurt after running in this one. Just by the looks of things, the way she runs. So she's pretty even. So she's kind of like looks like a heel striker a little bit. Yeah, she kind of wears her heels a little bit. She might be a heel striker. And I think her forefoot, pretty even. She's a lot more even than I am, actually. I wear down like the lateral sides of my heel, and then I kind of even out for an even toe release. She's pretty even all the way around. Really good shoe. Another shoe, I would probably say the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 and the Nova Blast are kind of like this, and then the Asics Super Blast is up here. All great shoes. I think it really just depends on your running mechanics. I would definitely go to a running shoe store and have them check your mechanics and get you outfitted with the right shoe. But Molly's hoping to get into a 5K, and we're thinking of doing either a 5K, 8K, 10K. There's a turkey trot that we're thinking of doing. Hopefully my knee kind of heals before then. This is Molly's little lineup. I did read that you should have at least 2 to 4 shoes in your rotation for different workouts that you're doing. Long run shoe, a daily trainer, a tempo shoe, a race day shoe, an intervals shoe, a track shoe, so we're not that serious yet. I'm starting to want to get into it a little bit more and supplement my lifting and my weight training with running, because I don't know, I think I may have mentioned in my last podcast that I want to be like a hybrid athlete where I can lift heavy but also run fast, so kind of like that high rocks kind of athlete. I kind of want to go that route now for my my health and fitness. Yeah, that's all I got. I wish that I could share more of my experience with the half marathon that is going on this weekend. So when you listen to this, it would have happened already last weekend and how I ran it. I don't think it's going to happen, and that's okay. But we're going to rehab, we're going to regroup, we're going to fix this knee in hopes that I can get into another race before the end of the year, maybe 2. There is another half marathon, just not on a big stage, basically, like the Lakefront Marathon. That's my goal. I already signed up for the Milwaukee Marathon next April. I got something to look forward to. Just wish that it was this past weekend's Lakefront Half Marathon, because I actually like legit trained for this 8-week training with the Runner app. It's unfortunately not gonna happen. I keep joking with Molly that I'm gonna actually run it. If my knee feels better, I might just do it. I don't know. Would that cause more damage to my knee if I ran it? Maybe. I don't know. When I put this video out, I guess we'll see. Yeah, guys, that's all I got. That is just a little rundown of my nutrition plan, my kit, and my shoes for running races. And if you're interested in learning more about these shoes, I'll put links in the bio down below to kind of look into them. I am still learning, all these things. I research and I look up shoes. I watch videos. I listen to podcasts. I'm learning. I'm engaged in learning about running because I want to become good at it again. I was really good at running when I was doing OCRs. I would run at least 5 miles a day when I lived in downtown Milwaukee. And I was really good at running, especially because I had to do it for OCRs. Mixing the obstacles, obviously, wasn't a continuous run, and it was also trail running, not road running, which I would prefer the trail runs over the road running because the trails are just a little bit more forgiving on my joints because it's a little softer. Though you do have undulating terrain, your ankle health, gets a little dicey. I like it better than road running, but I'm learning and I'm learning to enjoy road running because I had a goal before I die that I want to either do a half Ironman or run a marathon. I don't think I'm going to run a marathon, but I'm pretty darn close. I already accomplished running a half marathon, so we'll see. I don't want to also lose the strength gains that I've made in the gym because that's probably more important to me than running a marathon at this point. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for indulging me again, listening to this podcast. If you have any questions about what I've done, apps I've used, or just shoes in general, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Like I said, I'm still a student of this sport, so I may not have all the answers, but we can help each other out and figure something out to get ourselves back into health and wellness and fitness, because this is what makes you younger, and this is what will make you a more healthier you going forward. Unfortunately, I got a knee injury, but hey, it happens. Every athlete has some sort of injury at some point in their training and in their process of being the best they can be. So with that being said, this is Jay signing out. And hopefully next time we have a conversation about running, I would have said that I had completed a race. So I love you. Thank you so much for indulging me again and for entertaining me.